Okay guys, this is just a quick video for some of our customers who have already bought a kit and are looking to change from one charge profile to the other. So when you've purchased a kit from us, at the checkout there's an option to select what type of battery you're going to use, and we will preset the charger into the charge profile to suit that battery in the location that it's going to be mounted. If down the track you want to change to that charge profile, it's no big deal, and we're going to walk you through how to do that. Most commonly, we're finding people probably start off with like a lead acid battery under the bonnet, or maybe an AGM if they can, and then down the track they might have changed to a lithium and they want to change the charger. So we'll show you how to do it. For more of a guide, on the middle page of the Redarc manual that comes with the kit shows you all of the profiles and what you need to do to select each one. But most commonly we're finding people are going from A profile and probably to lithium. So we'll run you through that one today. So like I said, this is a 200 series kit, and you'll notice on this one the harness splits shortly out of the charger to go from one side of the vehicle to one battery and to the other side to the auxiliary battery. A lot of our kits are like that. Some other kits have a single harness that runs all the way to batteries in a similar location. Either way, about 450 mil from the charger, and in this case, if it's a split, it's always on the main harness. You're gonna see a little joiner. So it's a piece of heat shrink basically that we shrink down over these battery profile selection wires. So that's how that's what we're looking for to locate initially, to see where we need to go to make this change. So now that we've located that, 450 mil from the charger, you'll just see a piece of heat shrink on its own. The first thing we need to do is, with a Stanley knife or some kind of cutting tool, we need to remove this heat shrink, and we want to do it reasonably carefully because we don't want to cut any of the wires that are under there. So just going to start here. I'm going to follow the groove of the sleeving, just make a small cut, cutting away from myself. Once it starts, often we can just peel it. Just want to be careful not to slice any of the wires. A pair of side cutters can also do this job, and already you can start to see our terminals under there. So this charger is in A profile mode at the moment, which means none of the wires have been connected. Okay, so we're through our heat shrink, we can remove that now. Under here we're looking for our green and orange wires. So there they are. We can leave our blue one tucked away. So these haven't been joined at all at the moment, so we're in A profile. If I want to put this into lithium mode now, I'm going to have to take this piece of heat shrink off, and I'm going to want to join these wires together. So let's start by doing that. Once again, just carefully slicing that heat shrink off. And there you go. So you notice we've exposed a male terminal, it's been soldered there, and a female terminal. So it's as simple as pushing those together. So what we would recommend, if you don't have any heat shrink, tape will do the job as well, but usually like to use a little piece of heat shrink. Sliding that over one of the terminals, pushing that together. If it's tape, you would simply tape that up now. Using heat shrink, we like to use either a blowtorch or a cigarette lighter, some kind of heat source, just to shrink that down. At this point, if your charger's still connected in the vehicle, if you're doing this in the vehicle, that's fine as well. What you're going to see after this is, if we go to the front of the charger now, this one's not going to show it because we're not actually powered up to batteries, but if we were powered up, we would have seen now, instead of the A profile light flashing, we would now have the LI light flashing. So that's the way to check that you've actually changed the modes, that you've gone to lithium, which is the LI light. Once we've done that, to neaten this up again, if you've got a large piece of heat shrink, you may need to take the fuse holder off. We can shred that back up and shrink down another piece of heat shrink over there. Alternatively, if you don't have heat shrink available, then once again we can just tuck these wires back into the harness, and with some insulation tape starting well before the wires, we can just tape over that whole section just to keep it tucked away and neat. So hopefully that runs through the most common changes that we see in profiles. I will just quickly run through some of the others. If you turn to the center page in the Redarc manual, you're going to see that it explains the A profile not connected, which is what we saw on this one. B profile, what we'd want to do with that orange wire in that case is run that wire to ground. So a terminal or a screw or somewhere in the area, we can just connect that to ground in the vehicle. Will put us into B profile. Once again, that will give us the B light flashing on the front of the charger. C profile, we just need to run that orange wire to a power source, so to the main battery or the auxiliary battery to the positive terminal. But mostly we see A profile, and lithium is definitely the most common. So A profile is good for an AGM battery in any environment. It's good for a lead acid in a hot environment, so an engine bay install such as this one. A profile is a good option. B and C you could see in some lead acid batteries in a cold environment, but often they're not the choice of battery in that environment. So that's the most common change we see, and that hopefully gives you a guide of how to go about changing your own charger.